What is it now? I'm doing a recording.
Insecure people
Insecure people will
will consistently
will consistently perform
humiliation rituals
humiliation rituals
against your character
against your character
and maybe history that they have with you
and history that they have with you
to make themselves feel better.
to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. You guys consistently show up for my podcast. You consistently give me feedback. I get um, emails and people send me messages, and I really appreciate it. And I will tell you, I don't know if I've gotten a lot of negative feedback on my podcast. Not really. Little things here and there, but nothing major, thank God. But yeah, that recording that you just heard was me talking to my sister. I think I've mentioned this before, but my sister and I have made a pact that we set aside time to get on a video call once a week. And we've been doing this now we've been doing this now, I think, since, man, I want to say more than 10 years. It's got to be, yeah, it's got to be just about 10 years, maybe even 11 years, something like that. But it has been a great way for us to connect as sisters. And, she definitely is truly a best friend in my life. And I know that I am the same for her. I mean, she's like, it's like we're soulmate sisters. And I'm like, it's so true. It really is true. But what she said in that recording that you guys just heard, and I was recording it so that I wouldn't forget, but we were talking about being safe around people who we were talking about inside jokes with family. And we were talking about being safe around people that may know personal things about you, and that um, it becomes dangerous when you are around people or you're around mixed company. And by that, I mean, you could be around strangers or people that you don't know very well, and family members or people close to you, close friends, will divulge personal information that you don't particularly want the the rest of the world to know. And she was explaining to me that she's like, you know what? Just what she said. She's like, people do these humiliation things. It's like ritual for them because they want to make themselves feel better. So they do these, humiliation things where they will bring something up that was supposed to be, known within family, or even something personal that you've shared with them that is embarrassing. And then they'll bring it up in front of someone and be like, yo, remember the time when you told me about when you did blah, blah, blah? That was between me and you, not for you to share it with the world. And I was saying to her, I said, those type of people that do those things to build themselves up, it's dangerous. And she was like, oh yeah, they do this to make themselves feel better. And I was like, wow. I said, I'm doing a podcast on this because it's so true. And even though it may be a family member, even though it may be a close friend, these are the same people who will be jealous. They only call you when they want to tell you about something that they have accomplished, but not because they have accomplished something. They have to tell you that they've accomplished something so that they can let you know that they are on top, that they are one-upping you constantly. Friends should share wins and encourage wins among each other to build each other up, right? that iron sharpens iron concept, you know, not because they want to let you know where they are in life, to let you know how much more they're doing than you. And we as individuals need to check ourselves when we tend to do that, you know, because I don't think there's been an instance in life where we haven't done that or we had to prove that we were standing on business. We had to prove that we were ahead of the game and let me know, let me let you know what I got going on. It shouldn't come from a place of trying to prove. It should come from a place of, man, let me share with you what I'm working on, and you can even bounce ideas off each other. But when it becomes just, you need to show and prove what it is that you're doing because you need constant validation, that becomes problematic. It really does. And quite frankly, it becomes draining if you are the person receiving the information. Over time, it becomes very draining to be in the mix with somebody like that. It is very tough. So, like I said, I've said this on this podcast before, moving in silence has always worked for me, you know? And even when I move in silence, I don't announce anything until stuff is done. And people can sometimes take that as, oh, who does she think she is? I don't give people the role, the what's the word I'm looking for? The step-by-step process of what it is for me to build a product, a system, or whatever. I don't give that information out as I'm working on it. It's just not, it hasn't worked in my favor in that way. I shared things like this in the past where all the steps that I'm doing to work on something, some sort of business thing, whatever it is, whether it was a physical product or whether it was some sort of package or whatever it is that I was creating, and I would share, what I'm building, and people would be like, well, don't you think that you should do this? And don't you think that you should do that? Too many cooks in the kitchen spoiled the soup, right? So I have learned that people are always going to have something negative to say. They're always going to make you doubt where you are because they are not happy where they are. They're going to bring up the negative things or who you used to be. You may have been negative. You may have lived another life. You may have been wild in the street. You may have used drugs in the past. You may have been an alcoholic in the past. You may have been just a petty person in the past. But once you make that change and you get yourself together and you realize that, wow, I have really changed my life for the better. There are always the people who are going to be committed to your old life. And they're going to let everybody know about it any chance that they get because they need to feel above you. They need to feel like they are doing something and they are one-upping you in some sort of way. And I am telling you right now, you don't have to fall victim to that. And you don't have to keep those type of people in your life. Now, they may be family members. We all know it's hard to cut off family members because it may be people that you see on a regular basis. But what you can do is you can lessen your time in their presence. Lessen your time around them. Find a way to not have to be in their presence on a regular basis so that you can keep your peace. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to change your mind. There's that saying that says, when you know better, you do better. So if you learn something new and you're like, wow, I really have changed my stance on this. You don't have to explain to people why. You don't have to explain to people why you don't drink or you don't drug anymore. Or you don't, sell yourself out to the masses anymore. You don't have to explain anything. Once you clarify what it is that you are here to do, and you're walking in your assignment, and whatever that means for you, and you've cleaned up your life and done what you had to do, don't let people drag you back down. Don't let people drag you back down. Okay? But yes, when I had that conversation with my sister, I said, you know what? This will make a great podcast. So I hope you got something from it. I look forward to getting back in my podcast in 2026. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.